Yo, what's going on guys? I'm Mike, and in this video, which is sponsored by Skillshare, we're going to be making a completely original synthwave animation incorporating the powers of both After Effects and Blender. If you've never used Blender before, don't worry, this will be a very simple tutorial for you, so I highly recommend you go check out Blender and follow along. We did an After Effects only version of this, sort of, a couple months back, so you can check that one out since some of the things that we did there will carry over to this video. As a reminder, this project file, as well as a bunch of other assets, are available on our Patreon account for you to use in both your project files or just to follow along while also supporting the channel. Jumping in After Effects, we're going to start with a 2000 by 2000 composition and a black shape layer. First, we'll add a fractal noise effect. We want to tile this texture, so let's go ahead and press Y on the keyboard and move the anchor point to the upper left. Since it's a 2000 square composition, we want to change the position by pressing P on the keyboard and setting it to 1000 for both the X and the Y. Now add an effect called Reptile and expand left as well as up. If we change the tiling mode to checker flip vertical, we get rid of the harsh lines, except for the one down the center, but no worries, we're going to be covering that up with a dark shape layer. For that, let's add a black rectangle centered in the center of the composition, and then press O and reduce the opacity just a tad. Finally, we'll be adding a box blur to this shape layer, and you could adjust the blurriness as well as the transparency to fit your needs. Now we could export this as a PNG and bring it into Blender and use it as a displacement map. Now, everything we just did, you could have done in either Photoshop and could also do it in Blender, but my expertise tends to be in After Effects, and I know a lot of people that watch this channel are After Effects, so I thought it was interesting to incorporate After Effects. So jumping into Blender here, let's start by deleting the starting cube as well as the camera and the light, and arrange our project settings. So first, we're going to change to the Cycles engine and use GPU compute, so we get some nice GPU accelerated path traced lighting. I'm using an RTX 3090, so I'm going to be using optics as well, which not only speeds up your rendering, but also allows you to use optics noise reduction for both the renderer and also the viewport, which makes it so much easier to visualize what I'm trying to do without having to wait for the viewport to catch up. So let's increase the samples to 500, turn on adaptive sampling, and reduce the light paths to 2 with multiples of 1 across the board. We can also turn off reflective and refractive under caustics. Coming down the list, we'll turn on motion blur, and under the film settings, we'll set the transparency to on so we can export with an alpha sky. Under performance, I'm going to set the tiles to 512 on both the X and the Y axis. If you're running a CPU renderer. All right, so now we're going to get to work on creating the sun by pressing Shift and then A, and under Mesh, we're going to select Circle. Make sure the fill type is N-gon, and then rotate it by 90 degrees along the Y axis and press G and then X on the keyboard to move the circle in the X direction. Under Materials, we'll create a new material, and instead of Principlal BSDF, let's change that to an emission with an orange color and maybe a brightness of something around 20. Lastly, add a Subdivide Surface modifier to make it less blocky, and now we can scale it up by pressing S on the keyboard and just increasing the scale just a bit. Next, let's work on the mountains. Start again by pressing Shift and then A, and we can select Mesh and then Plane, then increase the size to something like 4. Now with the plane selected, let's tab into edit mode and right click the plane and select Subdivide and increase the segments to something around 5 or 6. This will give us a lot more geometry for our displacement map to work with. Tab back into object mode, and now we can add some modifiers. First, we'll add a Subdivide Surface modifier and set it to simple, and then increase the segments to something like 3 or 4. We can change this later, and it will determine sort of how much detail our mountains have, whether it's a real low poly look or a more high poly look. Now we'll just add an array modifier and set it to 5. For the material, start by adding a new material under the settings, and we want to change the displacement from bump only to displacement only. If you don't do this, your mountains will be completely flat. I have no idea why this is on by default, but it is, and if you want to have 3-dimensional displaced mountains, you've got to turn this on. So hopping over to the shading tab, let's build these mountains. Again, Shift A and search for an effect called Image Texture. And we're gonna navigate to where you saved that export from After Effects, and this will be our displacement map. We should also search for the displacement node and connect the color output into the height, as well as the displacement to the displacement. So if your texture looks all twisted and weird, that can be easily fixed. If you have the Node Wrangler plugin installed, it's pretty simple. Just with the image node selected, press Ctrl T, and then rotate on the Z-axis by 90 degrees. If you do not have the Node Wrangler plugin installed, first, what are you doing? It's totally easy to set up in the preferences, and then searching under the add-on menu and toggling it on. But if you don't want to do that, you can just search for these nodes and do it manually. Now you can mess with this stuff to your heart's content, but I like to add a curves node and mess with the scale and the displacement. I also like to reduce the roughness and make the base color more white. But again, do your thing, make it unique to your needs. Once you have something you like, we can move the plane in the Z-axis so the road bit aligns kind of where the origin is. Next, we'll go ahead and add a camera and change the rotation to 89.5, 0, and -90. If we toggle into the camera view and move it up just a bit in the Z direction, we can kind of get an idea of what our composition is going to look like. Here is where you can adjust the size of the sun and make some adjustments to the mountains until you get something that you like. To improve the scene a bit, let's add 2 array modifiers to the mountains with the Y factor set to 1 on the first and -0.5 on the second. This fills out the horizon just a little bit better by adding kind of duplicate objects here on both the left and right side of our mountains. Also, we should change the environment color from a light gray to a dark gray. Okay, so with the mountains locked in, we can now start on the grid. First, we'll just duplicate the mountain layer by pressing Shift and D and moving it up just a bit. Remember, just press G and then Z to constrain the movement only on the Z axis. Now we could hop in and remove the texture, and instead we'll make a new one with an emission node, just like we did with the sun. Perfect. Now let's just delete some of the modifiers here and add a wireframe modifier with a very, very low thickness on that. Now I'm noticing that this isn't really like a grid the way you would kind of want it to be. It's very large. So with the grid layer selected, let's tab into edit mode and add another subdivide until the grid looks good. To me, I just needed to add 2 more subdivisions. And now we could just tab back into object mode and hop back into the camera to see our result. Okay, so now let's get this whole thing to loop. So let's hop into the layout tab, parent the grid to the mountains by first selecting the mountain layer and then the grid layer. When your mouse is hovered sort of over the viewport, just click Ctrl P and set the parent to object. On the transform tab, we can make sure that the X and Y are both set to 0 and then press I while hovering over the location. This will set a keyframe at that point. Move the timeline to 250 and now we could change the X location to -4. That will match the size of our plane that we initially set in the beginning. So basically we want the plane to move by 1 entire plane length. By default, there's an ease on these keyframes, which we don't want if we want this to loop seamlessly. So with both the keyframes selected, we want to change the interpolation mode to linear. So now this should loop seamlessly. So now is where you need to decide what you want to do with the sky. So you could leave it the way it is with a solid circle as the sun, in which you want to make sure the sun is intersecting with the mountains the entire time. I like to just go to the end of the composition, move the sun just so it's intersecting, and then increase the scale just a bit. Alternatively, you can model a more interesting object in Blender and substitute it out for the sun. That's a little bit too extreme for this video, I think. But you could also remove the sun altogether and add something more interesting in, let's say, After Effects, but keep the lighting that you got from Blender. So you won't get any sort of special reflections, but you will still maintain the reflections that you're getting from the static circular sun. To do that, we're just going to click on the sun, and under the object properties, we are going to turn off camera in the ray visibility. So this will keep the reflections, but remove the sun itself in our render. So with the sun gone, we run into our first problem. And that is, of course, that the landscape is not infinite, and you can clearly see when it loops that it's popping in. What we want to do, it's very simple. We just need to increase the number of copies on the array for both the grid as well as the mountains. Make it kind of as high as you think until it's not that obvious that it's going to be popping in. And then on the sun, we're going to have to move it really far back and increase the size in the light properties until we get the look that we had similarly before. I've done this video a few times, so I know that this is going to look good with the effects that I'm going to be using later. The first thing I'll do is I'll just change the destination folder for where Blender will output the image sequence, and just make sure that RGBA is selected so we get that alpha background, which we can then place our planet as well as a different sky later. So while we wait for this to render, I really want to talk to you about Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of courses on pretty much everything from productivity to filmmaking. In my opinion, I really do believe that this is the future of learning. It's an amazing way to find highly qualified and high quality teachers and lessons to get started on learning something new. Definitely useful if I want to continue learning and expanding my filmmaking skills, which is on my list to do in 2021. I've also been enjoying this course by Stephen Pearson. It guides you through creating and designing a modern house in Blender 2.8. I love how it's broken up into small bite-sized chunks so I could learn at my own speed and fit a lesson in when I have some downtime. I think the reason that I like Skillshare is that it feels a little bit more curated, more worth my time. Also, it's very affordable compared to other avenues of learning, especially higher education. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month, which is totally crazy if you know how much college tuition typically is. So with that said, I've teamed up with them to offer a free trial of premium membership to the first 1,000 of you guys that click the link down in the description. This is the future of learning, and I'm so happy to be able to help you get started on this journey. Okay, so the render is done. Now let's just import this into After Effects as an image sequence and create a new composition from that. We'll just add a black solid background, and we're going to make sure the color is the darkest color that we see on our mountains. That way it just sort of comps better with the black background and the mountains. Next, we'll add an adjustment layer, and we'll put a curves adjustment on that just to make things a little bit darker. So for the sake of time, we're actually going to reuse the planet from our last synthwave video. The last synthwave video goes into a lot more detail on how we got this planet to loop, as well as how we created the planet, but essentially it's just an image texture with CC sphere effect attached, with some rotation, I believe, on the Z-axis. On the planet layer, I'm just going to add a tint effect and map the colors so they look like they would fit in the scene. For me, that happens to be a sort of yellowish color as well as an orange. To loop it, we're going to move the layer to the middle of the composition and then cut off the end with Alt close bracket. We'll then duplicate this layer and move it to the beginning and stretch the layer across so it's overlapping our other planet. Now we'll just keyframe the opacity so it reveals the layer beneath. This is how we sort of get away with looping the planet spinning without having to make it make in one entire spin in such a short amount of time. It would just look crazy spinning fast. Great, so now on the adjustment layer, we'll just add an HLS color balance so that way we can adjust our colors as well as a glow effect. Now, these settings happen to work for me, but depending on the colors that you built into your Blender file, as well as the colors you pick on the HLS color balance, your glow settings might need to be changed. But for me, I sort of like this like orangey, pinkish, yellow effect, but you might want to go more pink and purple. You might want to go green and blue. You might want to go blue and purple. So your glow settings will change. Okay, so I think that that looks pretty awesome. If you want to download this project file, again, you'll get the Blender file as well as the After Effects file, as well as some loops that you could then use if you don't want to go through this whole process and make this yourself. You can get those over on our Patreon account, support the channel, follow along, do whatever you want. Also, be sure to tag us whenever you make something and post it on Instagram because we love to see it. And it's really great to see what everyone comes up with these tutorials. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching.